Me and my sister would literally be at student council meetings, would be at basketball games, and then Eunice, our little brother, he would just be there on our lap. And so being like first gen in the US, that was a bit difficult because there wasn't really anyone to like show me the way. You know?
Sometimes when you go out, they be like, take your sister with you, or you're not going.
In terms of like finding a spouse now, like, I don't know. I just know I want someone that's very like loving, like caring. I remember like calling my mom one day and Allah was like, oh, can you please pray for me? That was like the first thing I said to her. And
sometimes that distance is needed, and sometimes you have to miss them.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, I'm not there, and like their lives are just going on. And then honestly, since I've been given that role so early, I feel like I'm not really sheltered from anything. Like everything that's going on in my family or my household, like I know about it. You have a life outside of me. Like you're not just my younger sibling, you know?
I just can't get over I can't look at her over like 10 years old or 13 years old. Because to me, she'll always be my baby sister.
Yeah.
Right?
All of the responsibilities like falling on me. If I'm not going to do something, I'm not going to do it for myself specifically, you know? I would say I'm more of the experiment child.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Moots and you're watching XOXO Mooty.
Oh, I did do the kiss. I was like, I did the wootsy part.
You watch me?
I do watch it. XO.
You're right. So she watched this. Okay, guys, we are back for episode number 4 for the Ramadan talk show. This is season 2, and today I have a special guest.
Hey, y'all. Oh, sorry. Assalamu alaikum, y'all. Assalamu alaikum, y'all. My name is Rofiat. I'm so happy to be here today.
Thank you. Welcome. I'm so happy to have you. Okay, so today I have Rofiat here because we're going to be discussing some really, really important things that honestly I'm here to actually learn from you because I don't have that experience at all. So I decided to call on you to go ahead and share your experience. And the topic we have for today is navigating life as a firstborn woman in your family.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it. Tell us a little bit about you, how you grew up, and your family in general.
Yeah, so I'm the eldest of 5, but honestly, even though I'm the oldest, I've never really felt like that because I have a sister that's 1 year younger than me, and then a brother that's 1 year younger than her as well. So even though like it's been like that, I feel like sometimes the, I guess, responsibilities has kind of been like spread out between us all. So at times I do feel like it, but sometimes I'm just like, at least I have them to support me. So most of the times, yeah.
That's good to hear. I'm happy to hear that. So all of y'all are really close in age.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not all of us. So it's 1, 2, 3. We're close in age, and then we have younger siblings. So my youngest one is 8, and then there's another one that's 16. So there's like a bit of an age gap there, but for most of the time, we're pretty close.
So overall, how would you say it is? Do you feel like it's something like 10 out of 10 would recommend? I know you don't got it. 10 out of 10 would recommend, or it's like, has it been something that has taken a toll on you before?
I would say sometimes it has its perks, but sometimes I definitely feel it. I would say I'm more of the experiment child, you know? So my parents, like, if I say I want to do something, they'll probably be like, okay, let's try it. And if it doesn't go well with me, they'll probably be like, okay, your siblings can't do that. So, but other times it's just like, oh, you have to make sure that you're setting a good example for your siblings. So I feel like growing up, I felt a lot of that pressure to want to like do my best at everything, even things I didn't really care about. I wanted to make sure like, oh, I'm the best at it. So if I'm the best at it, at least my siblings have that as a foundation. So,
and you know, you actually answered one of the questions that I wanted to ask. Yeah, you're good. I wanted to ask kind of like, have you felt pressured in like doing the right thing? Because is it because you know your siblings are looking at what you do, or because you're being reminded that they're doing that you're the leader?
I feel like it's more of my parents telling me, you know, like just like, oh yeah, you're first. It's not even just my siblings, but just like, I think as like Nigerian Muslims, just like make sure, you know, everybody's watching you and you're a role model for everybody else. If someone sees a Nigerian Muslim, they're going to think that's how they're supposed to be. So I feel like all my life I've kind of been like, let me try to do that. So, and there wasn't, I guess some of my personality and also like the way I was raised is like, there wasn't really room to be like, you know, you just want to make sure you're doing the right thing all the time. Okay. So yeah, I feel like especially I was in grad class. So since I was in grad class, I had to be on it every 5 seconds. Cause if I'm not on it, then my siblings are not going to be on it. With my school, I had to be on it. If I'm not on it, no one's going to be on it. And I feel like, especially being like first gen in the US, that was a bit difficult because there wasn't really anyone to like show me the way, you know? And then I feel like in terms of like family, there's only like maybe 2 other families that we have here. And like, they're only like a few years older than me. So I never really had someone to like look up to like help me, like, oh, this is what you want to do? Okay, this is how you do it. So it's more so like I'm always trying to find my own path, figure it out my own way. So I feel like I like that because at least I didn't really like follow what other people were doing necessarily, but sometimes it would have been nice to have someone to like talk to, someone to rely on.
Someone look at. And it's interesting that you say that because I'm second born, but I can relate.
Yeah, because you and Mr. like
one and a half, literally, and I can literally. I mean, not really the pressure. The pressure mainly because I just never felt. I don't know. Like maybe a lot of times it was just things that I knew. I knew that my siblings are looking behind me, but it was never something that I would think before I committed. I did something. So is that something that you constantly think about? Rafia, don't do that because I have other siblings.
No, I'm not gonna like that. I'm gonna do it, but like obviously, like if I'm gonna do something, I want to do it the best way I can. It's never gonna be like I'm not gonna do this because my siblings are watching me. Like if I'm not gonna do something, I'm not gonna do it for myself specifically, you know, and for Allah. Like if you're not gonna do something, don't do it for nobody else. Exactly.
So let's talk about college. I know you went out of state to college, and you're the first in your family to do that.
I was the first in my family. So yeah, I mean, ever since high school, I was like, yeah, I'm going out of state. So I knew my grades had to be there. And so my grades were there, and I was like, I'm going to go out of state. And I don't know where at that time, I was kind of, I don't know. I didn't understand the concept of money. I was like, oh, I don't know how I was going to do it, but I'm going to go. And so, yeah, but my parents, I would say, since I was like the first, my parents were like, okay, fine, we'll like at least try it with you, you know, and if it doesn't work, like it's cool. But my dad was not for it at all. Like to this day, if you ask me, like, no, I think you should have went to school in Texas.
Why is that though?
I think for him, he's like a person that really values family, which I am as well. But he's like, he wants people to be as close as they can. And so like if something happens, you know, he's there. And I feel like I like to think I'm independent, but I'm not gonna lie, during like my third year of college or like fourth year, I was really like depressed. And I think that was like my first time actually like calling my parents and being like, I need help. I remember like calling my mom one day and I was like, oh, can you please pray for me? That was like the first thing I said to her. And I was like, yeah, but I would say like it definitely has its challenging times because I feel like as the eldest child, since I was kind of doing a lot of stuff on my own, whenever I did need help, it was kind of hard for me to actually ask for it until like everything had happened. I'd be like, okay, this happened to me and now I'm okay. But yeah.
Now that you're older and you're at home, do you still feel like it's still hard for you to ask for help as an older child?
I mean, I feel like it's a little bit hard, but I feel like my family and my parents, like they do a really good job of like noticing when things are like off with me. So they'll be like, oh, do you need help with this? Do you need help with that? And so that's more of the way that they know. But like, I feel like obviously when I was in college, they weren't there with me. So if they didn't see me, like they wouldn't know something was wrong. So it was kind of hard. But I think right now I'm like learning to like be open and letting people know when you need help. But it's definitely hard because, you know, you don't want to bother people, even though you're not, but it's just like people have their own struggles as well. So you're trying to keep yours up to date. Yeah.
Absolutely. You make great points. And I think that's something people experience, you know, first child or not. It's just a natural thing. But kind of like our previous episode where we're talking about like with Nigerian parents, it doesn't matter how old you are. They always want to make sure you're okay. They're always gonna leave a door open. They may be mad at you, but trust me, they have their leg on the door waiting for you to come back. So I think that's the most beautiful thing about our culture. Like they cherish their children. Like, let me pamper you. Let me, you know, take care of you. I born you. So I think that's a blessing to have.
Honestly, even though it might be in some ways that you don't really know, because it'll be like, why are you not here right now? And it's like, calm down. I'm gonna be back. So yeah.
So I'm gonna backtrack real quick. So with what we're discussing, you know, you went out of state for college. Can you tell us a little bit about why you went out of state?
So yeah, why I went out of state was like, I knew I wanted to go to a nice big school. So I wanted to go to a big school that was really good. So my options were like in Houston would probably be like UT or like A&M or like all those other schools, which I really like those schools. But I also felt like I wanted to like not stay in my same circle because I knew like if I went to a school like that, like all the people that I know from high school, I probably would still hang out with them and everybody else, which is not like a bad thing. But I think I kind of wanted to like branch out a little bit, meet some new people and seem like who I was by myself, you know, like what does Rafia like? What does she want to do? And I feel like it really changed the trajectory of my life, honestly, because if I stayed in college, I think if I stayed in college here, I probably would be doing something like pre-med or something like that.
Something you wouldn't even want.
No, something I would not want. I would not like that at all, honestly. But I feel like since like the people around me, like were doing that stuff, I'll be like, oh, I need to be on my stuff, be doing what other people are doing and not like actually doing something that I like to do. So yeah, that's why I went. And then I went to University of Virginia because I wanted to go to University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Ooh. But then, yeah, I was like, I like the blue. No, honestly, I just like the baby blue, exactly. And they had like I want something with like some academics that were good, but also I needed some like social life. So I knew they had like good sports team. I was like, okay, if you have a good sports team, I know like stuff will be happening there. But I learned about University of Virginia through the scholarship program that I was doing. And alhamdulillah for that opportunity, because I don't know how I would have, without that, I wouldn't have gone out of state. Like I would have been in Texas. So, yeah, I'm so grateful for that. And so that's kind of why I wanted to go, just to like experience more and just like learn new things. But I will say when I did want to go, like the way that people at the masjid were chattering.
I know.
It was like, don't let her go now.
I don't know what's wrong? I don't understand the thought process behind going out of state. It's almost the same as going to a different city, even a 4-hour drive. Some people don't come home. It's still the same thing. And if you ever wanted to come home, it's only a plane ticket away.
That plane ticket is good out of
they do.
But yeah, and honestly, I feel like this, like what you were saying, like even though it's like 4 hours away, like there's some people that live 4 hours away and like, they don't go home that much, or their parents don't come in and check in as much. I feel like at the end of the day, it's like, do you trust your child or do you not trust your child? And whatever I do living at home, I can probably still do when I'm out. So I feel like with them, it's just more of the distance thing, which I definitely understand. But I feel like the first thing at the end of the day is trust. So
like when you were making a decision to go out of state for school, did you feel the need to have it? Did you feel the pressure or the need to consider your siblings or what's going to happen with them or what your relationship will look like with them since y'all were like so close in age?
Yeah. I feel like honestly with my two siblings, like my sister Islami and my brother Rahman, since we were so close in age, like I didn't feel like it was going to affect our relationship as much. Cause I'm just like, oh yeah, we talk all the time. And like, even if we have group chats, there's Instagram, there's Snapchat, there's so many forms of communication where like, I know what's going on in their lives. They know what's going on in mine. But I feel like I really felt it a little bit later on, like whenever there was like birthdays or like stuff would be happening. I'm like, oh, I'm not there. And like their lives are just going on. And then I think when my sister went to college, I was like, oh, there's never really a time where we're all going to be under the same roof. Ever again. So like those times now, like right now, like during spring break. So right now during spring break, like when all my family is home, I'm just like, oh, I love my family. Like it's so nice. So, yeah, I didn't think it would affect our relationship as much, but I feel like it even made me closer to them, if anything. Cause I was just like, oh, I really love my siblings. Yeah.
That's good. That's good to hear. And I literally can agree with you. I think sometimes that distance is needed and sometimes you have to miss them, and then when you're missing each other, then everyone is putting effort into making the relationship because at the end of the day, like it's family and we want the relationship. So I think that's beautiful. I'm going to ask this question straight. Okay. There's really no other way to put this. Have you ever felt like you were a parent growing up?
Oh yes. Was definitely.
At what age? Till this day.
To this day. Like when I was younger, honestly, since, I told you about my two younger siblings. So when my first younger sibling was born, I was 8 years old. And, me and my sister, as I said, like we shared the responsibility. So we'd be changing his diapers, taking his showers. And I think I really felt him probably when I think I was 10. And then me and my siblings went to the same school.
10 years old.
10, yeah.
That is young.
It is. It's pretty young, I guess. Not for me. I'm not gonna. I feel like I was grown. I was 10. I got my first phone. So I'm like, that was the first time where like we kind of lived. We went to school a bit further from home. So they're like, okay, Rofiat, you're gonna be in charge of your siblings. So I got my phone. So anything that happened, I'd be like, telling my parents. So it would be like early morning. My mom would have to go to work sometimes. So I would make our lunch. It wouldn't be anything fantastical. It would just be like a little sandwich. I'd be packing it and I'd be like, okay, time for lunch. So it was just like, kind of just like being there for them. So I think I did feel like a parent. And now like currently, like if I kind of had to fit like my siblings into my schedules at all times, which honestly, I don't mind it. I feel like it makes me more considerate of like generally like other people and other people's time. So like, now, like, if my brother's going to school, like, I have to drop him off at school. Like, okay, what time is he getting off school? I have to pick him up. So
you got to remember all of that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, little things help with homework. So I feel like it's definitely prepared me for what parenthood might look like. But obviously, my parents are still my parents. They still handle, like, most of the things. Like, I'm just there as a support. And I feel like when I was a bit younger, I was like, oh, this is kind of annoying. Because, like, me and my sister would literally be at student council meetings, would be at basketball games. And then Eunice, our little brother, he would just be there on our lap. And so... Yeah, we never started school. Everybody at school knew him. So yeah, because like, and obviously my parents are nurses, so the hours are pretty like 12-hour shifts, and they both are working at different times. So I definitely understand. They're trying to build a life for us. So whatever we can do to help, you definitely would help. But like, it's always like making sure you're building your schedule around your siblings.
How do you feel about it? I mean, it sounds like it's something you do, but how do you really feel about it?
Oh my God. Sometimes I just like, yeah.
You sound very understanding.
I was like, I have to be understanding. You know, because if I'm not considering everything, then I feel like I could get really like, I feel a type of way about it. Because I feel like generally for most of the friends that I have, like either like they're usually like the youngest or like the only child. And I feel like I didn't notice it one day until I was just like looking around. I'm just like, damn, like just if I want to go out, I have to be like, what's happening right now? Like as does Yusuf have somewhere to stay? Does Yunus have somewhere to stay? Okay, if not, then that means I have to plan to make sure that there's somewhere to stay. Sometimes they're going to have to come with me. Sometimes I'm going to be late to somewhere because of that. So it's just like a little bit, sometimes it can get frustrating. And I feel like since I went to college, so then I came back, I'm just like, oh, like it's for real.
Girl.
And this time, like my Islamia, who's like 1 year younger than me, is not here. And my brother, Rahman, who's 2 years younger than me, they're both in college right now. So like all of the responsibilities like falling on me. Wow. So I'm just like, wow. But I feel like we've honestly like taken turns being the oldest, because when I was out of college, like Islamia was doing the work, and then when Islamia went to college, Rahman was doing the work. So we've all had like our chances to do that. And so honestly, like sometimes I feel like the parent, but sometimes like I don't, because there's stuff that I probably don't know how to do that my siblings be doing. Like anything that I have to use my hands, I don't touch it. Like light bulbs, garage, like that's not me. I would do if y'all need me to help something, if you need money, I'm gonna give you money. But I think that's kind of where my
more hands-on technical. You mentioned something I kind of want to go back to. Friendship. You said sometime when you're going out with your friends, you have to consider, do your siblings have a place to stay? So how does that work in your friendship? Do you feel as though that your friends are understanding? Like if you were to bring your siblings with you to a meetup, has anyone ever made you feel any type of way because you had to do that?
No. And I feel like also most of my friends in Houston, like we all like grew up together, you know, we all went to the same bunch. Shout out to Machumini, shout out to BBS, shout out to all my girls. So they kind of already know that family dynamic. And so like even like for most of my siblings, they already like know them. So it's never really like a thing. Like so if I have to bring them, like I feel like all of my friends have been pretty understanding. And if they weren't, honestly, like you don't need to be my friend. It's never that serious. Like I'd rather like be understanding, you know? So I feel like that has never been like something that, you know.
I'm glad you have that friendship that is, you know, quite solid and it's understanding. And I think even culture-wise too, like aside from that, I think culture-wise, that's really a thing. Sometimes when you go out, they be like, take your sister with you or you're not going.
Well, I'm going to go.
Take all of them with you or you ain't going. Everybody got to go.
Like, exactly.
I got to invite. So I know pretty much in this conversation that we've been having, you expressed many times that you are quite close to your sister and your brother because y'all are close in age. However, I do want to know, have you ever felt the need to maybe discuss something maybe a little more personal that you don't feel comfortable like talking to your mom about, but you also didn't feel comfortable talking to your sibling about? Maybe because that you felt as though, no, she can't know I'm going through that because I'm the oldest. I don't want her to think anything like that.
Yeah, honestly, one time my sister actually came up to me because I don't know. I feel like with me and my sister, like I talk to her about stuff, but like let's say anything about like boys or anything in my personal life, like we usually don't talk about that stuff. And it's not something that, like I don't want to share, but it's just like, oh, I didn't know you cared about it. Like, do you really want to know? And so like she actually came up to me one time. She discussed it. She was like, yeah, I feel like I just don't know about your life sometimes. And I was like, I don't know. Honestly, it kind of like shocked me a little bit because I was like, oh, I mean, if you want to know, you can. Like I don't care if sharing, but it's just like I feel like kind of like outside of that, like whenever it was like outside of the masjid or stuff like that, the friends I usually had were people like maybe sometimes a bit older than me, like someone that I feel like, okay, this person could give me advice if I need help, because, you know, they've probably been through it. So it was never like I don't want to talk to my siblings about it, but just like, oh, like how can you help me, but just like, I don't know if you've even been through that for you to like help me through that situation. And so like, and obviously with my parents, you know, there's some things that you just don't want to discuss with your parents. Girl, like, and I feel like usually their advice, like I'll take it, but sometimes I don't like it. And so if I don't want to hear it, I'm just not gonna hear it.
That's what I say.
So like I'm gonna do what I want to do, and then after that we can figure it out after. So yeah. Okay,
I feel like, because I have a younger sister myself, and she's about 4 years younger than me.
I think we're 4 years apart, actually.
Yeah. I just can't get over I can't look at her over like 10 years old or 13 years old. Because to me, she'll always be my baby sister. Yeah. Right? So there's certain things like, for example, let's say things like marriage. That's something I could talk to her about, but it's just so weird.
Yeah, because
you feel like, that
you're younger. Like, what you know?
Yeah, like what you know about that? Like you're younger. Even though she's like 21 now, like duh, she probably talked about it with her friends. Probably been through a couple of relationships and whatnot. But it's still weird.
Yeah, it's still weird. I feel like it's definitely. I also feel like since a lot of my younger siblings are guys, like there's a very different like dynamic. You know what I'm saying? And so I was actually talking to one of my friends one day. He was like, "Yeah, the way you talk to your siblings, I would think that they're younger. Like, cause you feel like your tone changes." And I'm just like, "Nah, like that's my baby brother. What are you talking about?" He's like, "You're talking about him like he's 4." I'm like, he's still 4 in my eyes." So, and honestly, especially with men, like when they go to puberty, it's just like a big change. So like seeing like my brothers like grow into like actual like a man, I'm just like, oh wow, like you're a girl. Like my 20-year-old brother is 20. I'm just like, you're 20. Wow. Like, but it's so nice to see them like grow up and like start to like find themselves and do their own things. I'm just like, oh, okay, like you have a life outside of me. Like you're not just my younger sibling, you know? So it's always nice.
So I don't know. I don't even know if there's any way to even look past that, but I'm just like, girl, you're a baby. I can't be telling you these things.
I'm not big. LOL.
She baby, she will be a baby girl. She act like a baby too, so. I'll put you on the spot again. I want your brain running. So what is your favorite thing about being the firstborn, and what is something that you just dread and don't like and would not recommend? Like I keep saying not gonna recommend.
Not recommend. My favorite thing about being the firstborn is honestly like I get away with a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like I get away with a lot. Like there's a lot of things that I can do that my parents will probably not look at it because you're like, oh, Rafia's doing it. It's chill. So yeah, exactly. So it's just like, oh, like let's try it, and if it doesn't work, like cool. So yeah, I think that's my favorite thing, and then also just having, it's when you get a little bit older, it's a bit nice. You don't have to do most of the chores in the house anymore. I don't touch no chores. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not.
Oh really?
I might sweep a little bit here and there.
You don't really got to like.
Exactly. People. That's the good thing about living at home, but that's the few good things about living at home. And I would say like the worst thing about being the eldest, I think honestly, since I've been given that role so early, I feel like in terms of like, I don't know, I'm not really sheltered from anything. Like everything that's going on in my family or my household, like I know about it. And I don't know, I feel like it's really affected the way like my relationships with my friends or my relationships generally like with other people or like potential like spouses and stuff like that. And so it's just like, even when my parents are talking to me, they're not really talking to me like, oh, like you're a child. They're like, oh, like you're part of this family. You're a parent. You're going to help like steer us into the right direction. So like if it comes with like planning stuff or it comes with like, we're having this issue in the family, like we want you to be involved. And it's just like, I felt like I was given that position at such a young age, like probably when I was like 7 or 8. And I was like, I didn't really have the opportunity to be like fully like a child and not think about these things, and I know it wasn't really like intentional. I feel like for them, just like, oh yeah, this is my eldest daughter. Like obviously she should have like some sort of responsibilities, but I don't know. It's definitely like taking a toll on me.
Okay, that's really interesting. I've never like. I mean, of course, I wouldn't think that direction because I never experienced it. But I actually never heard anyone say it either. So thank you for sharing that.
Of course,
that's huge. But I kind of had a follow up. I wanted to know, like, do you feel as though it has affected the relationship that you have with your parents?
Yeah,
it has.
I feel like it definitely has affected the relationship I have with my parents. I feel like now I have been able to see them as like people, as opposed to like, my parents, like, oh yeah, they know everything. And that's not to say that they don't know everything. Obviously, I know they know like a lot of stuff since they have more like wisdom than me. Yeah. But I'm just like, oh, my parents can make mistakes too. Like they can do things that are wrong too. And it's not like, that doesn't mean like, obviously I can't assign like, oh, this is good, this is bad to them. It's just like, that's just how people like are. And I have to like kind of like accept that and like go forward from it. But I feel like it did take me a while to do that. Like there were times where there was like a bit of resentment on my end because I'm just like, oh, like, why would you do that? Like, you're my parent. Like, and so like, as you're growing older, you learn like, and I feel like it doesn't really even apply to being an elder sibling. Like, just as like, as you're getting older, you're seeing things that your parents do or like have done in the past. And you're just like, oh, that's interesting. But the only way that you can understand is like, they're once your age too. And like, as you're still like learning and growing, like they're also still learning and growing. Like, you never really get to the age where like, everything. So I feel like I think that's kind of how it's affected my relationship with them. But I feel like we're getting to a point now where openly, like, we can talk about these things. Like, if I don't like something, I'm going to tell you, like, I don't like it. But there was a time where, you know, my mouth was a little bit dirty, you know? So...
well, at that age range.
Yeah, that age. So I'm just like, nah, you're not about to tell me what to do. Like, I know you do X, Y, Z, so you're not about to tell me what to do. So, but I feel like as I've grown up, I'm like, okay, I understand it and I, like, you know, respect it. And I feel like now that I'm definitely a lot closer to my parents than I was, like, definitely like 5-6 years ago. Mm-hmm.
So, like, have you felt like you had to shelter your siblings from seeing these things or being concerned how they may react and things like that?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times I have tried to do that. Obviously, it's not really easy doing that, but I feel like there are definitely times where, you know, just because obviously I love my siblings a lot, and sometimes I don't know, like, if my parents talking crazy to my siblings, I'm like, no, you're not about to do that.
So you have to advocate for them.
Yes, and I will. I don't care.
No, period.
And so, exactly, because I will, because I'm just
that's
like...
That's my big sister right there.
Exactly, because I also, since I've been through, like, I think now, also, I feel like now I kind of know my parents. So, like, I know how to talk to them, how to get what I want, what I need. So, like, if my siblings also, I'd be like, go ask for it. Like, that's your thing. Like, come on. And so, I feel like... so, yeah, I don't know. I just always want the best for them. And so, yeah, if there's things where I'm just like, oh, like, you know... Samia needs this. Can you, like, give her some money right now? You know, if I had the money, I would give a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But they the big ballers, so I don't got the money all the time. But yeah, so
that's
I feel
like right there. We all got the same bank account.
Exactly. But even towards that, I feel like obviously I'm still, like, helping my siblings, but my siblings, like, teach me, like, a lot. There's things that, like, I know that I cannot be able to do that my siblings can do, like, and I feel like they inspire me, like, every day. Growing up, my sister, like, I was very much the introvert of the family. Like, I was not the extrovert. So, like, there are times where people would see my sister and be like, oh, she's the older one. I'd be like, no, I'm the older one. But, like, it's just because, like, I was real quiet and stuff like that. So, and it's also interesting because, like, I feel like a lot of the people that meet me, they wouldn't automatically assume, like, I'm the eldest child. And I feel like, honestly...
Is that offensive to you sometimes?
No, I don't care. Honestly, I don't care. Like, obviously, because I feel like, since I told you, like, my siblings are close in age, but also, I think, in the fact, like, I'm not trying to take life too seriously. Like, I'm already kind of stressed in my household. So, like, you're not about to stress me out outside my household. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to act like, oh, what is this? Oh, how'd you do this? I don't know how to do this. Can you please help me? Because I'm just like, I don't know. I still have stuff to learn. And I still just, you know, you just want to be taken care of sometimes as well. You know, you don't always want to be the person, like, doing everything, taking care of people. Exactly. So, yeah, I feel like in my relationship, I kind of seek those kind of friendships where, like, I feel like, oh, someone can also, like, support me as well and help me. You know,
you mentioned a little bit about, you know, there's some things growing up as an older person, there's some things that you saw that you got exposed to at such a young age that makes you look at certain things differently, like spouse. So what are some things that you feel like you see very differently when you're looking for a spouse? Some of, like, your non-negotiables, you're not doing that, and how do you feel like growing up as a firstborn could affect your relationship or can change what you thought it would look like?
I think I'll start with the second question. So, growing up as a firstborn, like, I feel like the same thing I said about my friends, like, wanting to be taken care of. Like, I feel like that's something I really value in my relationship. Like, yes, I can plan something, but I want you to plan it. Yes, I could do this, but I want you to do it too. And it's not like I won't help in that, but like, I just want to feel, like, supported in, like, all aspects, where I don't feel like I'm the one that's always, like, taking charge, because I feel like in my life I had to do that a lot. And I feel like that's something where it's, like, a non-negotiable for me. And in terms of, like, you know, like, seeing a lot, like, growing up, I feel like in terms of, like, finding a spouse now, like, I don't know, I just know I want someone that's very, like, loving, like, caring. But I think I know that when it comes to children, like, I don't want that many. I don't want any anytime soon. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm still raising some kids of my own. Honestly, I'm not raising that much, but, you know, I'm not paying no bills or nothing like that. But, like, you know, I feel like it's definitely helped me, like, understand how much it goes into, like, raising a kid. Because I'm thinking about, oh, their school, their food. Is this a good district? Are they getting all their stuff that they need? Like,
you got to think about that too. You research?
Oh, me? No, me. I'm not thinking about that. But I'm saying I've seen my parents, like, you know, seeing your parents do, because, like, you're so close to it. Like, I feel like that's stuff that you need to think about when you're having, like, a kid. You know, it's not just like, oh, I want to dress up this baby or I want to do this, and I feel like, yeah. I love kids though. Like, this, don't, you guys, I definitely want a kid soon, but, like, not soon. Not soon. But, like, I feel like it's definitely affected, my relationship with like how.
Do you feel like you miss out on being a child? Like, because, you know, we kind of grew up together and we used to do all those things, sleepovers and stuff like that. But like, aside from that, do you feel like you missed out on something? I don't like, what are some things that children even do? I'm even trying to think. I don't know, but like, whatever definition you want to attach to it, do you feel like you missed out on a childhood or like being a child?
So I feel like, honestly, I would say there's not something I feel like I missed out when I was like a child. Like, for example, when I was like, because I didn't have my first like really younger sibling until I was 8, because my brother like he was like 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. Like our age always followed each other, so our parents just did everything with us together. So I feel like, honestly, I like my childhood. It was nice. But I feel like in terms when I was growing up, it was more like middle school, high school stuff. It's just like, oh, I can't stay late for this club because I have to go back here and drop my brother off, or I can't, like, it's just more of the little things that kind of like add up. Like, I might miss out on some social events because like I had to take care of my brother. So yeah, sometimes that would kind of be like annoying, but I definitely I think I just have to understand it. But I think for me, it's more of like the last minute things, because you can't really say no to your friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to have to do it regardless. Even though you're mad, you're going to do it. It doesn't matter. So
it's like they probably can't do it for real. That's what they ask you.
Exactly.
Like, you can't leave your brother stranded.
I can't leave my brother stranded. I mean, I've done it a couple of times this week. I did it last week. But it's okay. They're going to find out. But I feel like as they're getting older too, like they're starting to realize. So, I think that was kind of maybe like missing out on the little small like meetups and hangouts, but that's kind of the things I kind of missed out.
All right, y'all, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up our video here. Thank you so much, Rofiat, for coming on to talk about your experience as a firstborn.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. I think I really was kind of curious on what that even looked like for you. I mean, I saw you grow up and, you know, a lot of these things I see, but, you know, you don't really know how to affect the person. Like, yeah, I've heard you say, oh, I got to go. I got to take somebody to school. But you never really know, like, oh, like, you know, you never deep it. You know, it's just like, okay, bye, girl. And we don't know. You go in the car mad. You gotta go pick you up.
Every day.
Oh, God.
Over here.
But thank you so much for coming on here to share a little bit about your experience as a firstborn. You know, I mean, you didn't choose this life, but alhamdulillah, honestly speaking, I feel like you handle it well. You really handle it well. You wear it very well.
Oh, thank you so much.
So I pray that your siblings, you know, show appreciation to you. If not now, then later on in the future for everything that you have done for them and your family as well.
Oh, thank you. I mean.
All right, guys. So thank y'all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You already know it's on a pop in. I will see you in the next freaking video. Period.
I did it.